Ash made a massive mistake in the Johto region. For decades, fans thought he abandoned one of his strongest fighters for no reason. But the truth is far darker. Ash did not bench his powerhouse out of neglect. He benched it to prevent a murder on his own team. Think back to the beginning of the Johto journey. Ash had just left the Orange Islands looking for a fresh start. He wanted to build a new team. Almost immediately, he encountered a creature of absolute destruction. A bug type with the power of a tank. We are talking about Heracross. Heracross is not a normal bug type. It is a dual bug and fighting type. It possesses a horn capable of uprooting massive trees. It has enough raw physical strength to throw heavy machinery miles into the sky. It was an apex combatant. In battle, Heracross was a force of nature. It utilized moves like Mega Horn and Endure to completely crush opponents that other Pokémon could not even scratch. It was a frontline brawler. Ash relied heavily on that raw physical power during the toughest fights of his early Johto travels. When Ash caught Heracross, the fan base rejoiced. This was exactly the kind of powerhouse Ash needed to conquer the Johto League. Heracross had the stats, it had the typing, it had the sheer physical dominance to sweep entire gyms. It was primed to be the star of the team. But something strange happened, something that confused viewers for years. After only a handful of battles, Ash boxed Heracross. He sent it away to Professor Oak. He replaced this unstoppable force of nature with unevolved starter Pokémon. It made no tactical sense. Fans called it bad writing. They claimed the writers just wanted to focus on Chikorita and Cyndaquil. They thought Heracross was sidelined for marketing reasons. But if you look closely at the anime canon, the real reason is hiding in plain sight. It is a reason rooted in real-world biology and survival instincts. To understand this mystery, we have to look at the exact moment Ash caught Heracross. The episode was called a sappy ending. Ash walked into a forest deeply divided by a vicious turf war. Two different species of giant insects were fighting for survival, Pinsir and Heracross. They were not fighting over territory just for the sake of it. They were fighting over food. Specifically, they were fighting over tree sap. This forest contained a specific type of tree that produced highly nutritious sap. This sap was the lifeblood of the Heracross species. Heracross biology requires massive amounts of sugar and nutrients to maintain its fighting-type muscle mass. It is not like a caterpie that can just munch on a few leaves. Heracross burns incredible amounts of calories. It needs high-density energy sources. It needs thick, nutrient-rich tree sap. In that episode, Team Rocket used a machine to drain all the sap from the forest. The local bug types were starving to death. The Pinsir became hyper-aggressive. They invaded the Heracross territory because they were desperate for calories. The entire ecosystem was collapsing due to starvation. Ash stepped in to help. He defeated Team Rocket. He destroyed the sap draining machine. The forest returned to normal. One specific Heracross was so grateful that it decided to follow Ash. It voluntarily joined his team. Ash gained a loyal and incredibly powerful new friend, or so he thought, because by taking Heracross out of that specific forest, Ash removed it from its only reliable food source. Ash is a traveler. He walks from town to town. He crosses mountains and deserts. He does not stay in one place. And he certainly does not stay in sap-rich forests. Ash feeds his team Pokemon food, standard kibble mixed by Brock. This food is fine for Pikachu or a Squirtle. It contains basic vitamins, but it is entirely insufficient for a massive fighting-type insect that evolved to consume raw condensed sugar syrup directly from the source. Heracross began to starve. The anime played this off as a joke, a recurring visual gag for the audience to laugh at. But beneath the comedic music, a biological crisis was unfolding. Heracross was experiencing severe caloric deficit. Its primal instincts were screaming at it to find a proper food source. Unfortunately for Ash, there was a massive walking food source standing right next to Heracross every single day. A creature carrying a giant unbloomed plant on its back. A plant packed with highly concentrated life-giving nutrients. We are talking about Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur relies on absorbing sunlight to execute its most powerful attacks like Solar Beam. This charging process requires Bulbasaur to remain completely stationary and vulnerable. It cannot move. It cannot dodge. It must stand perfectly still to gather the necessary solar radiation into its bulb. Bulbasaur is a dual grass and poison type, but more importantly, its biology is entirely unique. The bulb on its back is planted there at birth. As Bulbasaur grows, the bulb absorbs sunlight. It acts as a massive biological battery. It stores solar energy and converts it into pure concentrated nutrition. The Pokédex states clearly that the bulb is full of nutrients. It allows Bulbasaur to go for days without eating. The bulb is essentially a giant reservoir of high-density plant matter and sweet nectar. To a starving giant insect, this bulb is not just food, it is an all-you-can-eat buffet. We see this dynamic play out immediately. Almost every single time Ash called Heracross out of its Pokeball, it ignored the opponent. It ignored Ash. It ignored the battle completely. Instead, it turned around and viciously latched onto Bulbasaur. It buried its face into the bulb and began aggressively draining it. The anime framed this as a funny quirk. Heracross just loves the taste of the bulb. Bulbasaur gets annoyed and uses Vine Whip to smack Heracross away. Everyone laughs. The scene moves on, but stop and think about what is actually happening in the context of the Pokemon universe. The Pokemon world is not just sunshine and friendship. The anime has established time and time again that wild Pokemon eat each other. We have seen Pidgeotto try to eat Caterpie. We have seen wild carnivores hunt smaller prey. It is a functioning ecosystem with a brutal food chain. Heracross is an apex predator in the insect world. It has a massive horn to impale threats. It has immense jaw strength. When it latched onto Bulbasaur, it was not giving it a friendly hug. It was attempting to consume the living tissue on its back to survive. It was feeding. Bulbasaur was forced to defend its life on a daily basis. Every time the Pokeballs opened, Bulbasaur had to be ready to fight off its own teammate. Imagine the psychological toll this took on Bulbasaur. It could never relax. It was trapped in a small traveling party with a starving predator. Ash is often criticized for being oblivious. People say he does not understand basic type matchups, but Ash is deeply connected to his Pokemon. He understands their feelings. He watches them closely. He began to realize that the situation between Heracross and Bulbasaur was escalating beyond a simple rivalry. Vine Whip was barely working anymore. Heracross was a fighting type. It resisted basic physical strikes. It was getting stronger. It was getting hungrier. Ash realized that if he did not intervene, Heracross would eventually drain the bulb completely, and if the bulb dies, Bulbasaur dies. This was the dark twist Ash had to face. He accidentally built a team that violated the laws of nature. He put a creature that strictly requires plant sap to survive next to a creature that is literally made of living plant sap. It was a biological ticking time bomb. Ash had two choices. He could bench Bulbasaur or he could bench Heracross. Bulbasaur was his veteran. Bulbasaur had been with him since the Kanto region. Bulbasaur was the emotional anchor of his team. Bulbasaur was a proven leader. Sending Bulbasaur away was entirely out of the question, so Ash made the only logical decision. He had to separate the predator from the prey. He could not just release Heracross back into the wild. They were miles away from the Johto sap forest. If Ash released Heracross in the wrong environment, it would starve to death or disrupt a local ecosystem. The safest option was Professor Oak. Professor Oak operates a massive sanctuary in Pallet Town. The lab property is huge. It spans across mountains and rivers and deep forests. It is carefully managed by a world-class Pokemon researcher. It is the perfect environment for a specialized creature like Heracross. By sending Heracross to Oak, Ash guaranteed his friend would be fed. Oak could provide the exact synthetic sap Heracross needed. Oak could monitor its diet. Oak could give it the massive trees it needed to throw around and exercise its fighting-type muscles. It was the ultimate safe haven, but more importantly, it completely removed the threat from Ash and his traveling party. Bulbasaur was finally safe. Bulbasaur could walk outside its Pokeball without looking over its shoulder. The constant stress of being hunted by a teammate was gone. The team dynamic stabilized instantly. This completely recontextualizes Ash as a trainer. He was not being stupid when he boxed his strongest Johto capture. He was being incredibly responsible. He recognized a lethal incompatibility within his ranks. He saw that raw power was not worth the cost of an internal ecological disaster. Mixing entirely different ecological types in close quarters is highly dangerous. A team of 6 Pokemon is confined to a tiny campsite every single night. They eat together, they sleep together. If one of those Pokemon views another as a natural food source, tragedy is inevitable. You cannot train instinct out of a wild animal. Heracross loved Ash. Heracross wanted to fight for Ash, but hunger is a primal force. When a fighting-type insect is starving, its brain shuts down. It sees a giant green bulb filled with sugar and it attacks. It is purely biological. Ash understood this. He did not punish Heracross. He did not yell at it or treat it like a bad Pokemon. He simply changed its environment. He quarantined the threat while maintaining the friendship. This is the mark of a true Pokemon master, knowing when a team composition is biologically flawed. Look at the times Ash brought Heracross back later in the series. During the Sinnoh League, Ash called upon Heracross to fight against Tobias and his Darkrai. When Heracross arrived, it was healthy, it was strong. It had clearly been thriving at the lab under Professor Oak and his care, and sure enough, the first thing Heracross did was find Bulbasaur and try to suck its bulb again. The instinct never left. Years had passed and the biological drive was still exactly the same. But in the vast open spaces of the lab, Bulbasaur had room to escape. The danger was mitigated. In a tiny tent on the road, Bulbasaur would have been cornered. In the wild, there are no referees to step in and stop a feeding frenzy. Ash made a tough call early in his Johto journey to prevent a nightmare scenario. He sacrificed brute strength to protect his oldest friend. Many trainers in the anime universe probably make this exact same mistake. They catch a powerful predator because it looks cool. They put it on a team with small, vulnerable prey animals, and then they wonder why their team chemistry is terrible. They wonder why their smaller Pokémon are terrified to battle. Ash learned this lesson the hard way. It proves that being a good trainer is not just about memorizing type advantages. It is about understanding the natural world. It is about respecting the brutal reality of the food chain. You cannot ignore millions of years of evolution just because you have a Pokédex. Heracross was a victim of its own biology. It was taken from a specialized habitat and thrust into a traveling lifestyle it was never meant for. Bulbasaur was a victim of its own anatomy. Carrying a massive source of nutrition on your back makes you a permanent target for desperate creatures. The writers of the anime hid this incredible lore detail right in front of us. They disguised a terrifying survival situation as a slapstick comedy routine. They let the audience laugh while a fighting-type insect tried to devour a grass-type reptile. It is brilliant and dark storytelling. The Johto region is filled with these hidden ecological details. It is a region heavily focused on tradition and nature. It makes perfect sense that the most important lesson Ash learned there was about biological balance. He had to learn that he was managing living, breathing animals with lethal instincts. So the next time you watch those early Johto episodes, pay close attention to the background. Look at the fear in the eyes of Bulbasaur. Look at the frantic, desperate energy of Heracross. It is not just a joke. It is a masterclass in world building and subtle character development. Ash did not abandon his Heracross. He saved its life. And he saved the life of his Bulbasaur. He proved that true strength is knowing when to step back and respect the laws of nature. He built a legacy on trust instead of just hoarding powerful monsters in his pockets. The Heracross incident was the definitive moment Ash realized this crucial difference. He stopped viewing his Pokémon as mere data points or battle tools. He started viewing them as complex biological organisms with specific needs. This growth and maturity was essential for his journey toward becoming a Pokémon master. By boxing Heracross, Ash demonstrated peak trainer awareness. He prioritized the physical safety of his current party over the potential competitive advantage of a new capture. This single decision altered the trajectory of his entire Johto campaign. It was an invisible victory that saved his team from completely tearing itself apart. We have only just scratched the surface of how dangerous the Pokémon food chain truly is. There are countless other examples of trainers accidentally carrying walking biological disasters in their pockets. Hit the subscribe button to join us as we dive deeper into the terrifying biology of the Pokémon world.